Shout out to Heck.
Shout out to Heck.
Shout out to Heck. What the heck?
Yo, what the heck?
Spin a check, Heck.
Shout out to my boy Heck.
What the heck is going on? I hope you all are in good health. I hope you all are getting your money and living your lives with purpose. Okay. Today I am coming from Vietnam, just a few hours outside of Ho Chi Minh City in a totally different area. I believe it's called Vung Tau. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, guys. So let's get straight into it. The title of today's stream is called Danger Across South and Central America, Weak Yen, Strong Baht, and just some general travel updates, right? So let me just make sure I'm live, make sure everything's good, everything's up and running. Looks like I might be live. So hit the like button on the way in. All right, we're gonna get straight into it. We want to talk about a few things today. First, we're going to talk about the dollar. We're going to talk about yen. We're going to talk about the baht. And we're going to come and talk a little bit more about some debauchery happening across some of the countries in Asia Pacific and South and Central America, right? I told you guys before about the yen. Let's talk a little bit more about it, okay? Let's get straight into it. All right. First things first. Can you guys see this? Let me put this up over here. All right. The yen tumbles on Japan's spending fears. All right. Dollar broadly higher. This is by Reuters. Is it Reuters? Shout out to Reuters. But as you guys know, I mentioned this. For those of you guys that don't remember, I mentioned this last year regarding the weak yen, and the yen has just been getting weaker and weaker. Right now, we're at a point where the US dollar is almost at 160 yen per one US dollar. All right, so now we're at a point where it's really interesting to see how this Japanese yen is really starting to take a hit. The yen is really starting to take a tumble. And I said it last year, guys, this might be a good time to maybe see, if you've never been to Japan, this is the strongest your dollar has ever been for us Americans. Maybe if you want to look at some foreign investments, we've had a lot of people traveling to Japan. Japan has definitely been blown up with all the tourism that's been there. So it's interesting to see people that want to get home ownership or live in Japan or travel to Japan. Now might be one of the best times too. As an American, your $1 is almost 150, almost 160, almost 160 yen, guys. That's a lot of yen. That's a lot of money right there. All right. So quick summary: the yen tumbles on Japan's fiscal spending concerns. Fed has more room to cut rates amid inflation data, and traders watch for possible yen intervention by Japan. All right, the yen tumbled to its weakest level against the US dollar since July of 2024. All right, which is like a year and a half ago. And there's concerns about looser fiscal and monetary policy in the country. All right, there's been a dip on the data showing that consumer prices were largely as economists expected last month. Let's get straight into the Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, may call an early general election, the head of her party's coalition partner said on Sunday. All right. The implications for the yen are quite negative because Takaichi is a dove on both the fiscal and monetary fronts. So fiscally, she would be very comfortable with a looser, higher deficit policy. And currently, the Japanese yen is weakened by 0.6%. Okay, and the US dollar is 159. Well, the greenback, they say, one US dollar is 159.11 yen. And the rapid weakening in the yen is also putting traders on watch for possible intervention to shore up the currency. Sheesh, man, oh man, guys. The Japanese yen has been falling. There's been some dips in the yen since last year. And I said it before, with everything happening currently, all the tension that's happening between China, Taiwan, and Japan, and also the US, I don't think that the yen will be getting stronger right now. This might be a good opportunity for you to leverage any opportunity you could to go to Japan. And yeah, you might have a better chance enjoying your trips, maybe enjoying some ramen, maybe finding some decent places to stay, hotels or Airbnbs, right? Let's get straight into it. So let's go down to the bottom. I think there might be something. Let's just wrap this up. Rising geopolitical tensions also remain a focus after the U.S. took Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro, into custody, and protests rock Iran. Oh, yada, 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 yada. I was hoping that they would talk a little bit more about Japan, but I just wanted to bring a little bit of news to you guys here that the yen is still no bueno, guys. The yen is still looking on the weak side, right? It's not going to get any better. This might be a good time for you to visit Japan, for your dollar is going to be the strongest it has ever been. Let's keep looking into 2026. I think China is trying to propose tariffs on Japan due to Japan's involvement with supporting Taiwan. If 1/4 of Japan's tourism are Chinese tourists, and China proposes tariffs and travel warnings, that's also going to impact Japan's tourism. It's going to impact Japan's yen as well, which might cause fluctuations against the US dollar and also across many currencies across the globe. So let's keep looking at that. But we'll talk more about that in the future. But right now, as you guys can see, it is one US dollar is 159 Japanese yen, which is crazy. All right, let's get into our next topic. We're going to also get into our next thing. We're going to talk about the Thai baht. Let's talk about the weak yen. Now let's get into the Thai baht. All right, and shout out to this man right here, Integrity Legal Thailand. He is a lawyer. Let me just get straight into it. Let me make sure this is up and running. Let's hit play.
Banking sector here in Thailand. Let's just jump in. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Thailand tightens reporting of resident cash inflows. Quoting directly, Thailand is taking a closer look at capital inflows by residents as part of the central bank's effort to manage baht movements. So taking a closer look at capital inflows by residents, I got to be honest with you, this is just yet another sort of data point in my quiver, if you will, of arrows against all of this foreign banking influence, because it's leading to inverted thinking about currency and trade policy.
All right, guys. We're not going to talk too much. We're not going to share too much of this guy's channel. He's a lawyer. He knows more about Thailand than me. But if Thailand's tourism has taken a hit, for those of you that don't know, Thailand's tourism has been down. This is, I believe, the second year in a row Thailand's tourism has been on the down. Malaysia has beaten Thailand in terms of tourism for the second year in a row. And this year, Vietnam's tourism has spiked, okay, while Thailand's tourism has taken a hit. Why is the government trying to track the dollar? Well, technically the baht. Sorry. I'm new to this, guys. Why is the government trying to track the baht so much? I think I know why. This is just a guess, but the truth is, with all the economic impacts, not just in Thailand, but across the globe. For those of you that don't know, the baht is getting stronger against the dollar. The baht is getting stronger across multiple currencies across the globe. When you look at the baht, like I think back in the day, it was like, I think it's $1 was 35 baht. And today it's about $1. I think, where does it stand today? I think 32 baht, maybe 31 baht, around there. If tourism is down in Thailand, why is the government still trying to track where the money is going, right? Why? Why is that, y'all? Why is that? You tell me.
A perfect example of this is Thailand's currency is getting stronger right now because it has a vibrant economy. It has not hollowed out its industrial manufacturing base. If anything, it's built it up over the last 5 decades or so, as opposed to since the end effectively of Bretton Woods and Nixon's closing the gold window, where the West has effectively hollowed theirs out and offshored everything. Not everything, but large segments of their economies. Yeah, you're going to end up with trade imbalances when Party A doesn't make anything anymore and Party B.
All right, guys. We're not going to talk too much. Shout out to this guy's channel right here. Let me just shout him out right here. Integrity Legal. I'm not sure if he's specifically just talking about Thailand. It's called Integrity Legal Thailand. So I would like to say that maybe he talks a lot about Thailand laws and updates about legalities in Thailand. But why are people so concerned about tracking the baht? Why are people so concerned about the money coming into Thailand when tourism is down, right? And I think my personal perspective, my opinion, is that there's money that is being exchanged across different sectors, right? We have people that go to Thailand for certain types of tourism, right? We have people that go for nature and wildlife and excursions. But a lot of the money, from my own perspective, is the money that gets exchanged in Thailand can be untraced. You know, a lot of stuff happens cash on hand. A lot of people are still very old school. You bring cash to the store, you bring cash to, you know, when you go to your bar, you bring cash when you go to the fried chicken vendor on the street. So if tourism is down, why is there so much pressure on Thailand and the need for tracking how the cash is coming into the country? And it's because the people that are still traveling to Thailand are still spending money in ways that might not be the most ethical, right? We do know that a lot of money gets poured into things such as sex tourism, right? You have other sectors and segments of people that might be spending money in ways that might be seen as illegal or unethical. Maybe businesses aren't tracking and reporting all the cash coming in. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I go to Thailand, I always try to keep cash on hand. I don't try to use my cards too much. But as you can see here, with tourism down, there's still a strong pressure for the people of Thailand reporting cash inflows. And I believe it's because the people that are getting the money aren't getting it possibly in the most ethical of ways. Now, it's just my opinion. You can take it with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert, but it's just kind of what I see when I'm out there in Thailand. I've been in Thailand twice, and I was there in totality for about 3 months. And I wouldn't say you can always see all the cash transactions, but you can definitely see how there can be absence in reporting of cash inflows. Let's skip on, move on to our next topic, all right? Because that's for financial experts and legal experts, and I'm not neither of those, all right? We talked about the weak yen, talked about the strong baht, and now let's get into the fun stuff, right? More debauchery, okay? And what is happening across Thailand? More things are happening across Thailand, guys. Let's get straight into it, okay?
Arrested several Israeli nationals during a raid on a villa party in Koh Phangan, responding to complaints of illegal activity, noise violations, and potential drug distribution. Officers moved in after neighbors reported loud music, suspicious transactions, and large visitor turnover at the rented property. Upon entering, police identified multiple partygoers without valid visas, and assorted contraband items, including pills and unidentified substances, were seized. The suspects have been taken into custody for questioning, with charges expected under Thailand's immigration and narcotics laws. Authorities emphasize that while social gatherings are normal in tourist hotspots, illegal behavior, drug offenses, and visa violations will be cracked down upon. Koh Phangan, known for its party culture, has seen increased enforcement efforts in recent months to balance tourism with public order and safety. The question is, who snitched?
Who snitched, y'all? Who is snitching out here? Is it you? Who? Somebody is out here snitching, guys. I'm not sure if you are aware, but there's been kind of a pushback with Israeli tourism in Thailand. Koh Phangan, if you've never been to Koh Phangan, I would say only go on the days of the full moon and go attend the full moon party. I went to a half moon party in Koh Phangan. It was half lit. Only go to Koh Phangan during the full moon, so you go to a full moon party. But yeah, look at this. Let's play it back one more time so you guys can see it, because this is just crazy.
Police arrested several Israeli nationals during a raid on a villa party in Koh Phangan, responding to complaints of illegal activity, noise violations, and potential drug distribution. Officers moved in.
All right, so we got drugs. We're talking about drugs right now. Illegal drugs, illegal substances, illegal activity, which also will equal dirty money. We just talked about cash inflows, tracking and tracing cash inflows with the Thai Baht, and now we're talking about illegal drugs coming in, which also brings in dirty money.
After neighbors reported loud music, suspicious transactions, and large visitor turnover at the rented property. Upon entering, police identified multiple partygoers without valid visas.
All right. Invalid visas, illegal drugs, dirty money.
And assorted contraband items, including pills and unidentified substances, were seized. The suspects have been taken into custody for questioning, with charges expected under Thailand's immigration and narcotics laws. Authorities emphasize that while social gatherings are normal in tourist hotspots, illegal behavior, drug offenses, and visa violations will be cracked down upon. Koh Phangan, known for its party culture, has seen increased enforcement efforts in recent months to balance tourism with public order and safety. The question is, who snitched?
Man, who is snitching out here? Who is snitching? Who is really snitching, y'all? I'll tell you what, I don't think it, I don't want to speak too much about this because I wasn't there, but it's interesting to see. We just talked about tracking the Baht, tracking the inflow of cash in the country. If tourism is down, where's this money coming from? Israeli tourism is already there's a pushback with Israeli tourism in Thailand. And now we have a bunch of Israeli tourists doing illegal activity here on the wrong visas, or possibly not even in Thailand, with proper visas, with drugs, and of course, dirty money. Man, oh man. All right, let's get into our next Thailand topic. Okay, this is a really good one because we just talked about the Baht, how the government wants to trace how money is coming in. This is just interesting to see. Let's get into our next topic because I love Koh Phangan, but I prefer Koh Tao. For those of you that don't know, I would say go to Koh Tao, don't go to Koh Phangan. You're gonna waste your time, okay? But anyways, watch out, guys, and don't be buying drugs from some Israeli people. All right, no offense to Israelis, I ain't got nothing to do with it. It's not me, guys. But yeah, just don't be doing illegal things. It's not the best. All right, let's get into our next topic. We're gonna get into more Thailand news. Okay, more Thailand news.
A large group of Russian tourists shocked other tourists nearby when they got into a drunken brawl outside of a convenience store in Jomtien. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam, and thank you for joining us here at the Pattaya News. Today is January the 10th, 2026. This happened last night just before midnight in front of a convenience store in Jomtien when a group of Russian tourists turned a late-night alcohol run into a chaotic fistfight outside a convenience store, leaving one member of their party unconscious after a misaimed punch caused him to fall and hit his head on the ground. Rescue workers and Pattaya City Police quickly responded and found 7 Russian tourists, both men and women, gathered around one of their friends who had been injured. The victim had been punched in the face, causing him to collapse and strike his head on the pavement. Rescue volunteers provided first aid, but the injured man declined hospital treatment despite rescue workers trying to push him there, stating that he may have a concussion. The group, all friends traveling together, quickly reconciled upon police arriving, and all declined to press any legal charges whatsoever. The involved parties even hugged in front of police to reassure police that the situation was resolved and did not need legal action. Witnesses told respondents that the group had entered the convenience store in good spirits to purchase alcoholic beverages. Upon exiting with the beverages, though, an unknown dispute escalated rapidly verbally, and all of a sudden, alcoholic bottles started being thrown and shattered on the ground. 2 men in the group began trading punches, while women and the eventual victim attempted to break up the fight, but in the chaos, the intervener got struck in the face. Authorities arrived shortly after. Incidents involving intoxicated tourists are not uncommon in Pattaya, though most end without serious injury or police involvement. As always, thank you for watching the Pattaya News. We appreciate your support. If you enjoy what we do and you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe and follow for regular updates here from Pattaya, Thailand.
All right, shout out to everybody that I'm sharing all the news, whether if it's Reuters or if it's the Pattaya News. Shout out to everybody that's reporting the news. All right. As you guys can see here, I know exactly where they are on Jomtien. That's the craziest part. I know exactly where they are at that 7-Eleven. That's a new 7-Eleven. All right. It's a nice 7-Eleven too. It's pretty. It's a large 7-Eleven. It's a good entrance. It's right by Jomtien Beach. Man. This is just crazy. Of course, we got some Russians engaging in some debauchery. For those of you that have never been to Thailand and you wonder what it is like, it's the Thailand server is OD, y'all. The Thailand server is crazy. You could go there and just wall out and do a bunch of crazy stuff. As you can see here, a bunch of Russians were just going into 7-Eleven. They all know each other. They're all friends or probably family. Who knows? Go into the 7-Eleven as friends. They walk out as enemies, and then they make up as friends again. That's a classic Russian Thailand story. That's like that's the classic Russian Pattaya story, right? We have a bunch of people that engage in debauchery. A lot of people go to places like Pattaya, Thailand. They get really drunk, and of course, a fight breaks out. This is around midnight. The night is still early. Pattaya nightlife goes until 5, 6, 7 in the morning, right? So to see a bunch of drunk Russians or possibly about to get drunk Russians start fighting at midnight, boy, it's going to be a good night, I tell you. I'm sad I missed out. I'm sad I missed out. I prefer staying in Jomtien over Pattaya, because Jomtien is actually a little bit more chill. It's a little bit more calm. You don't get all that Pattaya craziness over there in Jomtien. So it's like, man, like who's bringing the drama to Jomtien, guys? I love hearing the birds chirp when I'm in Jomtien. When you hear the birds chirping in Jomtien, it's like so peaceful. It's really calm. But when you go to Pattaya, just 10 minutes, 5-minute drive to Pattaya, you're just in the craziness, and typically when you're in Pattaya at night, you always experience some type of craziness. but you wouldn't expect this type of craziness to happen in Jomtien. But as you can see here, we got a group of Russians and a brawl happened amongst friends. I'm glad that they didn't want to get the police further involved. They must have been really cool with each other to squash the beef. I remember back in the day when I used to squabble up, you know, if you ever used to squabble up with your boys or somebody you used to know you have beef with, you squash the beef. Where I'm from, they call it shooting the five. You know, you got to go stand for 5 minutes and go toe to toe with somebody. And then afterwards, you squash the beef. So I'm glad to see that these Russians that are in Jomtien, I'm not glad that they got into a fight. I'm glad that they solved their problem. Bottles being thrown, it's very dangerous. We don't want nobody getting hurt. I think somebody tried to break up the fight and they got hurt. It's not good to see. Let's play it back one more time in case you missed it, okay?
A large group of Russian tourists shocked other tourists nearby when they got into a drunken brawl outside of a convenience store in Jomtien. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam, and thank you for joining us here at the Pattaya News. Today is January the 10th, 2026. This happened last night just before midnight in front of a convenience store in Jomtien when a group of Russian tourists turned a late-night alcohol run into a chaotic fistfight outside a convenience store.
Classic, right? Your classic Russian Pattaya drama. Some Russians get drunk, probably getting ready to go out, have a good time, and they just fight. They break up, they make up. Ah, what a time, guys. Let's not talk about that too much. Shout out to the Pattaya News and shout out to everybody, all the news publications that I'm sharing here. Fair use, whatever I got to say to keep it going. Make sure I cover my own ass with this stuff, guys. We're talking about Thailand. We're talking about Pattaya, and let's get into our next topic, more Pattaya drama, okay? We're coming with more Pattaya drama, guys. Let's get it, okay? Let me share my screen. Ugh, sheesh. Hello there, where you go? You are handsome. But as you guys can see here, we have some Thai workers of the night, possibly coconut office employees, guys. Yes, we have some coconut office employees getting into beef. Your classic Farang, your classic foreigner story. Farang person comes over, tries to, pick up some independent contractors for hire and gets brutally attacked. Wow. All right. Now it says here, let me share my screen. Let me go back to sharing my screen here. Let's go back right here. Thai SEX workers in Pattaya brutally attacked a foreign tourist on the night of the 1st to the 2nd of 2026. What a way to start the year, guys. I don't need to be a degenerate. There's enough degenerates in this world. So it's interesting to see what's really happening here. Shout out to this person on X, Sovan Ratana. I'll go ahead and check this person out for more information. But let's play it back one more time just for anyone that might have missed it. And of course, maybe this person forgot to pay. Let's see. Let's read the comments. He didn't want to pay his bill for services. They don't just kick off for nothing. This is a regular occurrence with some Indians in Pattaya as well, as ordering one Coca-Cola with 4 straws so they can watch the girls. Oh my goodness. All right, guys, let's not get into much into it, but let's play it back one time. Now, this person looks like they might be of Indian descent. I'm not sure. But yeah, this person's getting a whooping, a beat down. Oh, damn. Where I'm from, they call that a cocotazo, right? Homie got a lump on the back of his head. Like, I know he's feeling that one. He's feeling that one for sure. Look at this. Look at this, guys. I don't want to like make it too much about violence and drama, but as you can see here, there's already debauchery happening across multiple places in Thailand. And it's just interesting to see how no matter what your ethnicity is, right? No matter what your ethnicity is, no matter what your color is, what race you are, what country you come from, people that go to Pattaya always get themselves into some kind of drama and trouble, all right? And I'm not perfect. I've gotten to my own fair share of drama and trouble. We're not going to talk about me, though. You know, we're not going to do that. I'm a little angel, of course. Look at this. And then here comes a shot to the back of the head. Ooh. Ay, diablo. That's what you call a cocotazo, guys. That's a cocotazo right there. So this person they look like they might be of Indian descent. And I'd hate to say it, guys, but there's a bunch of people that might be going there not trying to pay these workers of the night. And typically, when something like this happens, that is the main reason. You know, Thailand is changing the laws when it comes to things like sexual harassment and filming in public and stuff like that. So I don't want to sit here and just share everyone's faces like that, but this is already on X, guys. Not a good thing. All right, guys. Enough of that, guys. But check out Sovan Ratana on X if you want to see more and understand more of what happened there. You know, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for anybody. If you go there, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't try to fight or get into any fights with the Thai locals, because if you fight one Thai person, you're fighting many Thai people. And I don't know if those were men, ladies, lady boys, who knows, guys. But yeah, more Thailand drama, but less. I want to see less drama, but it's just interesting to see how it's like the Pattaya debauchery is always going to happen. I promise if I made a Pattaya drama YouTube channel or Pattaya drama content channel, I would have content for days, because like every night there's something just like this in Pattaya. Let's go on to our next topic, guys. We talked a bit about the weak yen. We talked about the strong baht. We talked about some Israeli tourists getting busted with illegal drugs. We know with illegal drugs comes illegal money. We talked about the baht being traced a bit stronger. People want to just make sure that they track the baht cash inflow coming in. We talked about illegal drugs, which also brings illegal money. All right. With the same illegal drugs that was brought in was also the people that were in possession of those illegal substances were foreigners, all right, Israeli tourists, not in Thailand on the appropriate visas. We got into Russians getting into fights, and now more Thailand drama. So that wraps up the Japanese news, that wraps up the Thailand news, and now we're going to move across from Asia Pacific and East Asia, and we're going to move over to the other side of the globe. Okay, guys, let's go into the other side of the globe. We're going to talk about Brazil, guys. Bom dia. We're going to talk about Brazil on this one. Okay, let me add this over here. We got.
¿Cuánto puede costar un choclo? De eso se trató. Le vendieron un choclo,
Caro,
le quisieron cobrar de más, reaccionó el turista argentino allí en una de las playas de Camboriú y termina recibiendo golpes y palazos
de los vendedores
de
ambulantes,
parte del
¿no?
resto de los vendedores ambulantes. Una verdadera una locura, una situación que se fue de las manos. Fíjate, terminan hasta con una escoba o un palo, en realidad es un palo, atacándolo, y sigue sumándose gente que hasta con una patada voladora derrumba al turista argentino que se quejó. ¿Por qué? Porque le quisieron cobrar un choclo más de lo que el turista suponía que costaba. Así que de esta manera terminaron resolviendo la situación en la playa Camboriú, en Santa Catarina, sí, Brasil, en una situación que te arruina las vacaciones, ¿no? Básicamente, un episodio como estos te arruina las vacaciones. Ahora, no se puede reclamar, no se puede decir, mira, me parece que me están cobrando de más. Fíjate la reacción.
Qué golpe a traición la patada voladora.
No, por eso. Sí,
que venían
sí.
3 personas tratando de pegarle con un palo encima y viene una traición medio de atrás.
Ahora nadie se mete para...
All right, guys. I don't speak Portuguese, okay? But as you guys can see here, a fight has broken out. An Argentine tourist was attacked by beach vendors in Camboriú on January 1st over a price of corn. Yes, the price of corn, it was 150. I believe they tried to charge this person, but they were under the impression that it would be 30 reais. It's just interesting to see. It's in the daytime. It looks like there's people at the beach having fun. This is in Camboriú, and this is just interesting how it's now approaching the busy season in Brazil. For those of you that have never been, I've never been to Brazil. I always wanted to go. Right now is going to be the busiest time from January up until all the way past Carnival. We have Carnival coming up. We had New Year's Eve that just passed. Carnival coming up. And now we're seeing everything is expensive. Are you priced out? Who is priced out of living their lives? At this point, I would say I'm priced out. If you're charging me 5x the price for corn on the beach, I guess I'm priced out, guys. I'm a brokey, okay? If you're upcharging me 5x the amount for corn, this is just a bit too much. What do you guys think about it? You guys let me know your thoughts. Is this ethical? You know, we all know that prices get high during peak seasons, but man, 5x the price for corn?
Para separar, mira. No, ese... Además te dan con el talón. Viste que te dan con el talón en las costillas. Y
Mirá,
es tremendo, ¿eh?
Le habían cobrado 150 reales por el choclo, pero los comerciantes afirman que el valor es de 30 reales. Yo no sé si es una...
You heard that? So the person is disputing. This is a terrible way to dispute 5x the price, guys, but he thought it was going to be 30 reais, and they tried to charge him 150 reais. That's 5x the amount just for corn. Just for corn.
Confusión con el idioma o alguna vivada, pero fíjate la manera en que es atacado este turista al que le acababan de vender en uno de los puestos de la playa un choclo brasilero.
Damn. Is that an old lady? Do I see an old lady there? Was that an old lady or an old man beefing? It's like 3 versus 1. And And as you can see here, the prices just go up during the peak seasons, right? Let's play that back one more time. We don't want to promote any danger. I hope this person's okay, and I hope they solve their problem. But it's just interesting to see how crazy the prices are getting, not just here, but around the world.
¿Cuánto puede costar un choclo?
All right, we have an Argentine tourist.
De eso se trató. Le vendieron un choclo, le quisieron cobrar.
Sheesh. Damn, you guys saw that one? So it's like 4v1. So I thought it was 3v1. It looks like it's 4v1. That is just crazy.
De eso se trató. Le vendieron un choclo, le quisieron cobrar de más. Reaccionó el turista argentino allí en una de las playas de Camboriú y termina recibiendo golpes y palazos
de los vendedores
de parte del resto.
Damn, he's getting hit with a stick. Pause. I don't want to laugh. Let's not make fun of anybody. This isn't a laughing matter.
De los vendedores ambulantes, una verdadera una locura, una situación que se fue de las manos. Fíjate, terminan hasta con una escoba o un palo, en realidad es un palo, atacándolo. Y sigue sumándose gente que hasta con una patada voladora allá Camboriú, en Santa Catarina, sí. Brasil, en una situación que te arruina las vacaciones, ¿no? Básicamente, un episodio como estos te arruina las vacaciones. Ahora, no se puede reclamar, no se puede decir, mira, me parece que me están cobrando de más. Fíjate la reacción.
Qué golpe a traición la patada voladora.
No, por eso, sí.
Porque venían tres personas tratando de pegarle con un palo encima y viene una traición medio de atrás.
Ahora nadie se mete para separar. Mira. No, ese. Además te dan con el talón. Viste que te dan con el talón en las costillas. Y mirá, es tremendo.
Le habían cobrado.
All right, guys. So, why am I mentioning this? The reason why I'm talking about this is because everybody loves to go to these hot places at the peak times, at the peak season. Brazil is now entering the peak season. It's probably the busiest it's going to be from late December up until maybe March, right? We had New Year's Eve just passed. We got a Carnival coming up. Look at how high the prices are. If you're a traveler, please exercise caution. What we have now is we have Canada issuing warnings, right? We have Canada issuing warnings as of January 2nd for high crime in Rio and Sao Paulo, which will impact beach tourism, visas, and other issues, right? We're just going to have all types of issues that are just going to happen. We don't want to see anybody getting hurt, but please watch out. If you're tourist, if you're just visiting, be careful, man. These are like some high prices. You tell me, you guys let me know, put it in the comment section. Let me know if you watched the replay. Would you pay 5x the price for corn on the beach? Because to me, honestly, that's a ripoff. I think the person got scammed to be paying 5x the price. I don't know if corn is typically 30 reais, but if you expected to pay 30 reais and they're charging you 150, something's off. Something's just off there, guys. Let's try to look. Let's see right here.
Panchos y choclo. Panchos y choclo. ¿Qué sale más, el pancho o el choclo? El choclo. El choclo porque en Mar del Plata en la playa se come mucho choclo.
¿Cómo vienen las ventas? ¿Cómo estás viendo todo?
Más o menos. No, un poco flojo todavía.
¿Cuándo?
El primero, 2, 3, cuando empieza a haber más pelea. Hay mucha gente, pero la gente no gasta. Gasta lo mínimo. Muy poco gasta.
¿Cuánto está? Me dijiste el pancho.
All right, guys. So everything here is most likely going to be in Portuguese. No hablo Portugués, you know. But as you can see here, if you're expecting to just have a good time at the beach, please be careful. Please take care of yourselves, okay? Canada has issued a travel warning against people traveling to Brazil. And this person's not even Canadian. They're from Argentina, all right? And Argentina is a neighbor of Brazil. They're right beside each other. So this might not be a good look for Brazil. And this is just peak season. This is peak season. People want to make the most money they can make, and just be careful when you go to some of these places. We're going to talk more about dangers happening across South and Central America, and let's get on to our next topic. All right, next one we have here is, okay, we have violence, guys. True gore violence. Okay, this is not a good look. Let's get straight into it. But before I say anything, I do want to say shout out to the true crime updates, fair use. Go check out True Crime Updates if you want to get everything you need to know about this. But this is about to be just more things about violence. We have 5 human heads were discovered hanging from ropes on a popular beach in Puerto Lopez, Ecuador. Okay, this is Sunday, January 11th, guys. Sunday, January 11th. The heads are blurred out, but I'm not sure if you guys can see here. We got the heads of many. All right, we have the heads of many. It says, disclaimer, the information shared is based on initial reports. This may not be fully verified and presented as alleged. Okay, allegedly. Fair use, whatever I got to say to cover my own ass. So what happens here, right? Now, I believe this is related to some type of, this is extortion. The gruesome display included a warning sign directed at individuals allegedly extortioning local fishermen. The heads were fixed to wooden poles along the shoreline, creating a horrific scene in a town primarily known as a whale watching destination for international tourists. Okay, this event is part of a significant surge in violence across Ecuador, which has become a logistical hub for cocaine distribution. Cocaine distribution? Didn't we hear, the president of America talking about cocaine distribution in some of these neighboring countries like Colombia, right? And now we have Ecuador having their own problems. Here we go into it a bit more. The Manabí province remains under a state of emergency as authorities attempt to contain a spiral of bloodshed that included a massacre of 6 people just 2 weeks ago. Local media reported that this past weekend alone saw at least 9 people deleted in separate incidents across the town as cartels fight for territorial control and the use of local fishing vessels for illicit transport. The proof is in the pudding at this point, guys. What we have is real. When you think that the tensions between Venezuela and America are just like a fluke, is BS. Now we're seeing different countries across South America that are actually having deletions. And these deletions are tied directly back to the cartel. Now, I don't know who, this is all alleged. This is all allegedly. I don't know nothing. I'm not a pro. I'm not an expert. I'm just on X. I'm a traveler. When I travel, I like to stay up to date. I want to make sure where I'm going is safe. I've been to Ecuador. If you've never been to Ecuador, I recommend you go to Baños or you go to Mindo. I've been to Quito, Mindo, and Baños, Ecuador. Okay, it's a good time there. You got to know how to move. You got to be very careful. I don't think these were tourists. These appear to be local fishermen, and the cartel is trying to basically take over the waters so they can move that work. All right, less about moving that work. Best of luck to everybody. And I'm sorry to hear about those people, but as you can see here, it says this included a massacre of 6 people just 2 weeks ago, and at least 9 people were deleted in separate incidents across the town as cartels fight for territorial control. All right. Now they're tying 15 bodies we have six people, and then we have 9 people in separate incidents across the town. And it looks like they're tying this all back to the cartel's fight for territorial control. This is not good, guys. I haven't been to any beach in Ecuador. I'm not a fisherman. I don't know anything about the waters. But as we can see here, we have the cartel trying to take control of the waters, moving that work. All right. Be safe out there. You know, everybody thought that, you know, President Trump was just exaggerating, you know, the cartels and people moving certain types of drugs to the U.S. And we already know that, you know, that Colombia is typically seen as like the heart of like danger and violence in South America and cocaine distribution, right? But now we actually see bodies collecting in Ecuador, and some of these things are tied to the cartel. For those of you that don't know, Ecuador is the neighbor. They share a border with Colombia, and Colombia shares a border with Venezuela, right? So I'm not saying they're all tied. I'm not saying let's all throw them into the same category, but here you can see bodies are collecting here in Ecuador, and it's tied to the cartel. All right. Shout out to True Crime Updates. Check them out if you want to learn more about that. If you want to stay up to date, Google it yourself to learn a little bit more. Now, let's move on to our next one, which we're going to go from South America. We started over in East Asia and Asia Pacific. Now we talked a little bit more about South America, and now we're going to get into Central America, guys. And the next one we're going to talk about is Costa Rica. Costa Rica. All right. Costa Rica police warn of rising tourist targeted crimes after violent incidents. Okay. The police in Guanacaste, let me close this real quick. The police in Guanacaste rescued 4 American tourists from a violent home invasion in Nuevo Arenal de Tilarán on Thursday evening. The confrontation with armed suspects led to a shootout that left 1 assailant dead and 2 others on the run. This happened after 6 p.m. in the Lago Cote area, where the tourists, 3 women and 1 man, were staying in a short-term rental property. Authorities received a 911 alert from the victims, who noticed suspicious activity and contacted help before the suspects fully overpowered them. Public force officers arrived quickly and encountered 3 masked men attempting the robbery. The suspects fired at the patrol unit. So we got into a firefight. A firefight happened. The suspects fired at the patrol unit, prompting police to return fire. 1 assailant sustained fatal injuries and died at the scene. 2 others escaped into the surrounding mountain terrain, triggering an ongoing search operation involving specialized units from the Ministry of Security. All right. So, once the area was secure, officers entered the residence and found the tourists bound and gagged, but they were unharmed. Paramedics from the Costa Rican Red Cross transported them to a nearby medical center for evaluation. No officers reported injuries, though a police vehicle showed multiple bullet impacts. All right. This is not good news. You know, you don't want to hear this. For those of you that don't know, Costa Rica is also a hot spot. I wouldn't say it's equal to Mexico when it comes to the tourism, but a lot of Americans, Costa Rica is so close to America. You know, Costa Rica is in that area, we call it Central America, right? And it's just so easy for you to get over there and have a good time. It's really beautiful over there. The beaches are lovely. And man, oh man, where is it safe for you to be? Where is it safe for you to travel to? Who knows? All right. We got more information on the news. Now, this is the Tico Times. The Tico Times. So this is a local news publication. All right. So it's not like I'm just pulling this out of nowhere. This is local news giving us the rundown. Let's just go down. Let's see what else. Let's see where they end this. Those who live in the area express shock at the violence in their quiet community near Lake Arenal. Authorities continue to track the fugitives with aerial and ground support deployed to cover the rugged landscape. The case remains under investigation, with the OIJ urging property owners and visitors to report any unusual behavior promptly. Officials emphasize that quick action, as in this instance, can prevent worse outcomes. And it's not good to see. You know, this is not good for anybody. I don't want to do this as a scare tactic. I'm not here to scare anybody, but this is just something you always have to just look out for, right? As a tourist, this is a tourist targeted attack. This is a tourist targeted crime. This is going to heighten safety concerns. This is going to heighten how Costa Rica is viewed as a tourism destination. Now, there's a lot of information that's lacking here. One, you don't have the information from the tourists. These are 4 American tourists, guys. 4 American tourists. The first thing is you're missing information from the tourists. 2, you're missing the information from the people that were never caught. They fled. The people that committed the crimes, one of them died, and the others fled the scene. They're still on the run. 3 is we don't know anybody's true, genuine intentions. We do know that if the people that committed the crime, if they wanted to body them, they could have bodied them, right? From the article here, it looks like that the people were already tied up and they were like ready to get extorted. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but it looks like they were tied up and gagged. All right. The fact that they were tied up, to me, goes to prove that they didn't want to body anybody, right? They didn't want to body anybody. If these tourists are tied up and they haven't been bodied yet, the tourists were able to call the police. The police got there. A firefight happened. I'm thinking this is an extortion tactic. To me, you guys let me know what you think. It comes off to be a very, I'm just thinking that this is like an extortion tactic. They tied them up. They probably wanted money. They probably wanted to see what they can get from them. But more importantly, a lot of the locals are saying that something like this doesn't happen around their area, which is Lake Arenal, Costa Rica. It's kind of sad to see that, somebody had to go, but they were committing a crime anyways, so do you feel bad about someone that gets bodied for committing a crime? I mean, let's not talk about it too much, right? It said 3 women and 1 man. 3 women, 1 man. None of the American tourists were harmed, but 1 person from Costa Rica was bodied in the firefight. They were deleted in the firefight after everybody exchanged shots. And it looks like that nobody from the police unit was harmed, but there was a large firefight and the car, looks like one of the cars might have gotten hit up pretty badly. Why do I talk about this? I talk about this because as a person that, has been to some of these countries, you always got to watch out where you go and how you move. We're also missing the information from the tourists. If something like this doesn't happen in that part of town, if something like this is rare and usually doesn't happen in that area, what were the tourists doing? What did the tourists get involved in? How did they get marked? Who marked the tourists? Did they call an Uber? Did they call a Grab taxi? Did they have a professional pick them up from the airport and drive them to their residence, their place they were staying? Did they just get off the airport and just get in the first taxi that hailed them? Did they try to buy drugs? You know, nobody knows these things. There's still so many things that are up in the air when it comes to this topic, right? It's sad to see American tourists are coming down there to have a good time, but we don't really know exactly what happened to them, right? I mean, we know they're alive. We know that they got tied up. I'm under the assumption that they might have that they were going to get extorted. This might have been an extortion tactic. They were probably going to try to take them or maybe just extort them right there. Probably just try to extort them right there on the property. Luckily, the people had enough time to contact the police. This just isn't a good look for anybody, right? It's not a good look for the people of Costa Rica. It's not a good look for the people in that Lago Cote area. And it's just not a good look for tourism. Tourism in Costa Rica, for those of you that don't know, there's a lot of beautiful things about Costa Rica. You can go swimming with the sharks. There's so many different experiences, nature and wildlife that you can experience in Costa Rica that's the last thing you want to hear. So that wraps up today's show. Man, oh man, be careful, everybody. Let's take it from the top. So first, we talked about the yen getting weaker versus the dollar. The yen is still experiencing a decline versus the dollar. And we have a strong baht. We have the baht almost as strong as it's ever been versus the US dollar. We then talked about the baht and talked more about Thailand tourism. You know, we talked about Thailand government wanting to track cash inflow in the country a bit better. With that, we also spoke about Israeli tourists in Koh Phangan with illegal drugs and substances. We all know with illegal drugs and substances brings dirty money. Thailand wants to track more cash inflows, and we have dirty money with Israeli tourists on the wrong visas. From the danger and the crime from the Israeli tourists in Thailand, we then went into the Russian brawl in Thailand. We then spoke about a man getting beat down in Pattaya, maybe for most likely not paying for services this person might have engaged in, allegedly. And from the dangers of Thailand, we then went into the dangers in Brazil. You know, we went into the cost of food and the danger of the danger happening in Brazil right now with a man getting a beat down by 4 different people for not wanting to pay 5x the amount for corn. We then went into Ecuador and the cartel fighting over the waters in Ecuador. And now we wrapped it up with this crime in Costa Rica, right? It's not good news, everybody. Once again, I've been traveling the world. All right. This is just not a good sight to see as a traveler. You always want to make sure you stay up to date with the news. You want to stay up to date with where you're going, how your dollar plays a part of where you're traveling to, the visa and accessibility to some of these countries. You just got to be safe, everybody. Thank you all for watching today's stream. If you watched the replay, hit the like button for me. If you might have been in and out of the building, hit the like button, show your support. This is just interesting to see. I typically don't touch on content like this, but this is just kind of something you have to take note of. As a traveler, I've been to a lot of these countries that I mentioned today. So it's just interesting. You always got to pay attention to some of these things where no matter where you are, if you're planning a trip to Costa Rica, you got to look at this. If you're budgeting a trip to Thailand, you got to look at some of this. If you want to go to Brazil for Carnival, you got to look out for this. So shout out to you all for watching today's stream. Please, if you could, hit the like button for me. Show your support. You know, we were in the building with some content for y'all. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. All right, and let's wrap this up and let's get the fuck out.
Shout out to Heck.
Shout out to Heck. What the heck?
Yo, what the heck?
Spell check Heck.
Shout out to my boy Heck.